Welcome back to Watching the Throne on the Late Night Chat Network, episode 79. Is that you shooting yourself in the head there?
Yeah, to the song.
Hilarious. All right, welcome back, everybody. And welcome back to JT, of course, joining us once again. And our third host here, Christina, in the house. What's going on, Christina?
Not much. Excited to get another episode done.
Absolutely.
Love this show.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us again. JT, I'm looking forward to what dumb comments you make once again. Looking forward to that. That's always a fun time. His role on the show. But yeah, guys, if this is your first time checking out the show, this is our Game of Thrones, now House of the Dragon review overview show where we kind of do episode by episode analysis and kind of talk and theories and all this kind of stuff about the show.
Feelings,
yeah. And usually every week this show airs Thursday at 8 p.m. It will continue to do so, but in order for us to pump out the rest of these last few episodes of this show to make way for the second season of House of the Dragon, which we will be addressing and going over every week to week as the shows do come out live. And I'm sure Christina will be joining us for some of those episodes as well, so stay tuned for that. These will be dropping Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. For the last few weeks. So yeah, so this started last episode. So for the next 2 weeks, expect 2 episodes to drop on Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. on the Late Night Chat Network. An easy way for you to be reminded of this is you can just press that little bell symbol underneath the video here on YouTube to be notified of when the shows on this network, on this channel, do go live. And you can also follow us on Instagram. We sometimes post on there when these are going out live for our people as well. They replay live. We're not actually on live. We pre-record them, but you can always tune in. And if you miss it live, you can always go back and watch it anytime in our playlist here. We got 79 episodes of this thing. And yeah, by the time we're done here, by the time the new season comes out, we're going to be almost just under 100 episodes of this Game of Thrones show. So it's been a lot of fun. So absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy ride. I didn't think I was going to hang on this long.
We did it.
Here we are.
We did it. Here we are. And today we're going to be talking about The Princess and the Queen, which is House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 6.
Oh, I didn't realize this episode was about me.
I was about to say, your name is nothing fancy today.
I know.
I thought I was the princess.
You could put your name there as well, either the princess or the queen. Both of you guys, you can put one could be the queen, one could be the princess.
I'll be the queen. I really throw everybody off. Where are we?
You go ahead.
No, you could be the princess because the queen.
There you go. She's in the house. Yeah.
Poor.
Here, let's change her name here. Hold on. We'll put the queen. We'll do this live on the air. We're doing it live. Okay. And then we're going to put, look, how about this? We're going to put the queen and then we'll have Christina underneath it. There you go.
Exactly. I am.
And JT will change his name. It'll be
princess.
A princess.
It'll be the king because it looks like I'm dying anyways. No?
Yeah. He looks like he's dealing with leprosy. But yeah, let's swing it over here to Christina first because I think we asked JT last episode,
and he got really offended by it. So
yeah, he's like, by the way, I've seen this show before, so why are you asking me first? All right, Christina, what did you think of this episode overall? Then,
lots happening. Again, another dramatic birth opener. I don't know. Like this show is just wild. Like it just. The time jumps, the storyline, the plot. There's so much that happened in this episode. It was like, I don't know. And they introduce you to more characters. They all have the same name, it seems. It's just,
yeah.
It just seems like there's a lot to keep together in this episode. I mean, we've watched it. I've watched it a couple times. I think you guys have watched it at least one or two times. by
Yeah,
now, but it's like
time now.
it's just so hard to keep it together. Like, anyways, yeah. But I
Yeah,
liked it. I mean, it was a good episode.
I liked it, but I'm in agreement with you. For me, it was a bit of a mixed bag, this one, because I have some opinions about the time jump in this, and like some things that they don't make reference to, that while looking up the notes, the synopsis of this episode, it actually added more to this episode for me than either of these two watches did initially, right? Like, so like that I've done
Right.
now of the show. So I don't know what that says about, me as a viewer, or the writers of the show, or just like the fact that they feel like people are such hardcore fans that we're going to be doing something like this while we're going into the details of it, or having read the books or whatever, what have you. Right. So yeah, there was some good moments in this. We'll get into it. It does start with a good moment, but I think like overall it was a bit of a mixed bag. I thought this one. What did you think of it, Jay?
You know what? Yeah, it was a toss up. Everything went everywhere, and it was interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. They've
Yeah.
all seemed to be interesting so far. But when you're getting time jumps, I mean, at least they're a little bit more distinctive when they did this one. But yeah, still, not everybody has time jumped. They feel almost right in a
Yeah.
sense, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
I
so it really throws
yeah.
you off, right?
I
Yeah.
agree with you, Jay. Like, there was, some characters stayed the same, some characters you can tell that they've aged, and then other characters are completely are new. And it's like, what is going on? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, it's kind of them playing a little bit fast and loose, and I know that was a big issue with a lot of fans, obviously, as we headed into the last final seasons of Game of Thrones. So, in one regard, it's like, is this as bad as that was? No, I don't think so. That being said, it's almost like they haven't learned anything from that, but also to the point where maybe they also just think like, we have so much that we want to cover on this show, there's no possible way of us being able to do all of this within, which now I think has been confirmed. I think they're doing 3 seasons of this. So so yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. But then again, the second season, they've announced they're only doing 8 episodes for story purposes, whatever that means. So like, that's 2 episodes.
Really?
Weird.
Yeah, they're doing 2 episodes less than this first season, because I guess whatever point in the storyline they wanted to hit before the third season was they were able to pull off within those 8 episodes, I guess. So I don't know if they're going to be
Interesting.
longer. I don't know. Like, that's the only thing I had read, was that there's a reason why it's not them just trying to skimp out on 2 episodes, but they said we did 8 episodes. There's a reason for it in terms of the story. And I guess it's whatever like maybe by the time the third season comes out, it's going to be even more of a big time jump. Maybe they thought it would be too jarring for them to push it to 2 more episodes within that time frame, right? I don't know, but I guess we'll
see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah, I remember the first time watching this, and this was bothersome to me. I feel like the first time I watched it, with the 10-year time jump and the change of actresses and Alicent and Rhaenyra's case. Mostly oh no, that's not true. There's a few other people.
Lena.
Kids. Yeah, all the children essentially they aged up and changed actresses with, and all the adults kind of stayed the same. But like you said, certain ones show some age, certain ones don't show as much age, so it's yeah, it's a little all over the place, to be honest with you, right? And it was it as jarring this time around? No, because I feel like now we're expecting it to happen. We know it happens, but there's some shit that they just gloss over here. There's several new characters here that you don't really even get a proper introduction for, because you have to assume that these people have been operating as part of this world within these last however many years that the show has been like time jumped from, right? So yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it then. 10 years later at the Red Keep, 10 years after Rhaenyra Targaryen's wedding to Laenor Valerian, she gives birth to her 3rd son in this scene. Just after the baby is delivered, literally after it's delivered, a handmaid brings the message that Queen Alicent Hightower has commanded that it be brought to her immediately.
Dun, dun, dun.
What the fuck was this shit? Like, what a fucking power move, first of all. This is fucking cruel though. Like this is fucked up. Like, and again, as a viewer, you got to determine that obviously this relationship has gotten even worse from where we last left off, with them not really seeing eye to eye, right, over this 10-year period.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
No, Jay, go.
I said, yeah. I mean, and they've obviously, like you said, it's been a 10-year period. That threw me off, first of all, because for a second there, I forgot which one was Allison after. Just, I don't know why. Just because the characters changed so drastically, right?
It almost seemed
But-
like this wasn't the first time that Allison has done this, because the way that Rhaenyra was like, okay, let's go. Like, she just didn't even question it. She just, like, got up and, like, started going. Like, you know, it's almost like she was expecting this to happen. Like, this wasn't the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, it just, that was my, like, you know, like, what a shitty thing. As a viewer, seeing it for the first time, I was like, what the hell? You know? But, you know, looking at it again, it's like, you know, this seems like this was expected.
Yeah, I just felt like, again, we're thrust into good scene to start us off with, I think, like, given the time jump, I will say that. But then we're just kind of off to the races, like, right away. We're kind of just thrown into the mix here. She has 2 other children, which we don't even know who they are at this point, right? And yeah, this is her 3rd, which I don't even think they tell you in this scene. You learn that after. So, like, again, the notes that are giving us the synopsis of this, they have more information, obviously, after having watched the episode, to give that context, but that's not really given in this scene. You know, and then, yeah, she's pretty much just like, fuck you, fuck her, you know, let's just get this over with type of deal. Like, I'll show her I can do this. And they're insisting that she stay, and she's like, no, I'll do it, don't worry about it. She literally just had a baby pop out of her, and she's fucking, you know, dripping blood and all this other shit, and she fucking has to go and see her because she's the queen, right? Like, it's fucked up.
I will say, it's like a pretty, like, I don't know, kudos to whoever wrote this or directed this or whatever, but, like, it's pretty accurate. Like,
good way to visualize. Good way to put a visualization.
Yeah, it was pretty accurate too. Like, I mean, like, of course it was a little bit sped up and less, like, whatever, but, like, it's pretty accurate.
If these women have ever given birth before, they probably know how to scream like that. So,
well, I will say, and you could speak to this, Christina, as well. Like, obviously, because well, I can't. You would know, but, like, even like what's his name, Laenor, when he comes through and he's like, oh, was it painful? And she, like, shoots him a look, like, I fucking call it. And then later on, she's like, I called the nursemaid a cunt or something like that. Like, she was yelling at the fucking top of her lungs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, but, like,
yeah, when Viserys asks her again, like, Viserys is like, oh, I hope your labor wasn't too bad. And she's like, I think I called the nursemaid a cunt.
Like, but yeah, like, obviously, just the way that, again, the men have no idea of, like, giving childbirth. They're all just like, oh yeah, hopefully it wasn't that painful, or hopefully it went quick, and they kind of, like, you know, the way she shoots him a look, it's just like,
they talk about it like it's a real job.
Well, at this time, what? Excuse me, what's a real job?
They said no, giving childbirth is like something they get paid for, but they said that's just their job in the show. You know, they've said that women.
Oh, I was going to be like
that they're being condescending, not Jay for once.
Oh,
yeah.
No, but, like, you know, especially in this time, like, you know, the men were not around, like, when these babies are born, right? They're off doing whatever the hell they're doing, and then they show up later, right after the fact. So, yeah, he has no idea. They have no idea.
So, determined not to let Alicent shame her, Rhaenyra rises and commands her handmaids to dress her, even though it's another minute until she expels the afterbirth from her. Laenor then enthusiastically enters, only to find the exhausted Rhaenyra insisting. You like the word afterbirth there, Jay?
No, the expel the afterbirth.
Expel it.
It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What the hell?
Like,
I'm just reading the synopsis. You know,
I know it's falling out of her probably.
Just say deliver it. My God.
Sure.
Expel.
Shout out to whoever put the synopsis together.
Yeah, throw it out in the garbage. That's all. I don't know what they do back then. Feed it
Only
the
to find
wolves.
the exhausted Rhaenyra insisting that she will walk across the entire castle, personally holding her baby to show the queen. Laenor at least manages to convince her to let him take her by the arm to steady her. After arduously making her way across the Red Keep and up a flight of stairs, while still experiencing post-birth muscle spasms, Rhaenyra reaches Alicent's private chambers. Rhaenyra and Laenor give cold, silent glances to Criston Cole as he stands guard outside the door. With false politeness, Alicent expresses concern that Rhaenyra shouldn't be walking in her condition. Rhaenyra's father, King Viserys, then arrives to proudly view his new grandchild, saying he will make a fearsome knight. Viserys is in relatively good spirits, but his decline has not stopped in the past decade, only slowed. The infection that was eating away at his hand continued to spread, and after losing several fingers, he has now had his left arm amputated up to the elbow. So.
Yeah, you can't even call him Littlefinger, eh? Give him a nickname, but
One
call
arm.
him Stumpy.
I just wrote down here, surprised he was still alive. This guy's a trooper.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look too bad considering he lost a piece of an arm.
I
He
didn't
still
even
looks
realize
like the
that
guy
he-
from the.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that he lost his arm until I read the synopsis, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, like you can tell, like it's like one of those fold up kind of like,
I didn't even pay attention to that. I was
the
like,
sleeve is hanging there still, but there's nothing actually in it, and it's like one of those things where they kind of like fold up the arm, sort of like the arm of his sleeve. So
Got
yeah,
it.
it's kind of like that in that scene when he comes in. But the other thing you kind of notice too is like how his hair is kind of thinned out now, and it's kind of like he's losing some hair. It looks like. So yeah, he's in bad shape. Like you can tell sort of in this scene for sure. Like, but again, yeah, still alive. So there
He's
you go.
10 years older. He's 10 years older.
Yeah.
mhm.
When Alicent asks what they intend to name the baby, Laenor interjects ahead of Rhaenyra that he will be named Joffrey, which we now know was his dead lover, right? At the
Mhm.
end of the last season. So I guess he finally got his way with 3 children into this sham of a marriage to name the kid Joffrey because, 2 of them have already been, she's already given birth to others. Viserys insists that he has his father's nose, resulting in awkward glances between the rest. Laenor says that Rhaenyra must rest, so she hugs her father goodbye while leaving Laenor to hold the baby. On the other side of the room, Alicent leans over Joffrey and softly says to Laenor, do keep trying. Sooner or later, you may get one that looks like you. Because it's clearly obvious these are not his children. I guess they don't look like mixed race, and then when you see the kids, they're just straight
They
up.
come out with a fucking beard. No, that wasn't mine, right? So, yeah, but yeah, no.
Well, they have
it's
like
that other
dark
guy, isn't it?
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have dark hair, or the baby has like darker hair, and
Yeah.
they're both platinum blonde or silver, like so it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Rhaenyra and Laenor head back to their private chambers, and she expresses her annoyance that he named the baby without consulting her. So there you have it. He says that they are both his parents, and he should have some say in their family. To which the tired Rhaenyra says, "Only one of us is bleeding." What a woman thing to say, AJ.
It's so true. Like, oh, no,
Typical,
you guys,
typical, bro, typical.
you don't even understand the like
I
arguments
bleed
that
from my
like
ass a lot.
parents.
Don't you worry.
You bleed from your ass. You need to get that checked out, my friend.
Called hemorrhoids, and he has cream for it. It's okay.
It's all good.
Oh my god. No, no, this conversation, I mean, it's subdued, but like it's a real conversation.
You guys played that
Like,
card for sure. I'm sorry to say it,
I
right?
know it's true. It's just like I birthed it, I carried it. It's like, I have the final say. I know some of my girlfriends that are like, I even go as far as like they're getting his last name, like I get to pick the baby's first, middle, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Okay,
like
I can't do it anymore, man. You guys bleed for a weekend. You guys don't die, so don't tell me anything else, please.
you are you
I did that.
sympathizing or are you like
No, I don't know. I don't know what I am, to be honest with you right now. If I'm jealous or if I'm
you're jealous?
eternal life, I don't know what that is.
Yes, Princess JT.
So you're saying, Christina, that
I'm trying to learn all this stuff as a princess now. Okay?
that is definitely a card that is played. You're saying amongst
100%.
men
Like
and
100%.
is and with children, yeah. So
Yeah.
Moving on. Yeah, shut up, be over there. Laenor looks back down the corridor to Alicent's chamber and realizes that Rhaenyra has been leaving a trail of blood all along the floor from childbirth that she finished a matter of minutes ago, which that was a crazy fucking visual. And yeah, it's just fucked up what they put her through in this moment, right? So I think just to add, like, you know, that final
That shows strength and agility, bro. That means you can walk while you're bleeding and holding a baby and your hips aren't even in the right place anymore.
I think you also get the
numbness.
No, I was going to say that clearly she does not feel supported by Laenor in this scene. It's pretty obvious. Like,
yeah, they're just going through the motions and the visual of a marriage, but like obviously, because what did she say? She said something else in that scene. Oh yeah, she said like they're my children, and then he says they're our children.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She says something like that.
Yeah,
because it, you know, yeah. Anyways, yes.
And as the episode kind of goes on, you can see like he kind of just swings through on occasion, and that's definitely something that we're seeing now. That obviously anybody, and not just women, anybody in a relationship needs is to be able to confide in your partner, like kind of like be with. Or like have them there to support you. She's getting none of that in this relationship, right? So that's one key thing that she needs at certain points of this episode that I picked up on, that he's not able to provide in any way. Or he can, but he's just never around, right? Because he's off with his
he's too busy golfing.
Yeah, golfing. But again, that could be taken as a modern day kind of like take on that as well, right? Yeah. You know, listen, but men need that too. We need to kind of get out and do things as well. Right? But but it works both ways. So I think that's
put some ball.
He needs to be present. He needs to be present in the relationship. He just in terms of support, even, right? So, anyways, in their private chambers, Rhaenyra and Laenor are greeted by their two elder sons, Jacaerys Velaryon, aka Jace, and Lucerys Velaryon, aka Luke, along with Sir Harwin Strong, the commander of the City Watch. None of Rhaenyra's three sons have traditional Valyrian silver white hair. All of them have dark hair and light skin and look nothing like Laenor. They do bear a strong resemblance, however, to Sir Harwin. His deep affection for them. And if you remember from last episode, Sir Harwin was the guy that saved her in the kind of the brouhaha at the end of that fucking wedding there. He's the one that slung her over her shoulder. He's also the one that caught Daemon and her outside of the pleasure house in that one episode before that. And he's the brother of the crippled guy, who both of them are the children to the guy who's
the Hand of the King.
Yeah. So
you got a map already. Holy
so
nice.
Yeah, that's family tree.
That's because of this. And again, me watching this, I think more than once this episode, because there's a lot going on here. So there you go. Thank you. That was my little my exercise there to kind of bring us all into place.
A family tree. Thanks,
there you go.
Bro.
So those are the connections that have been established now from the last episode to this episode with these characters, right? So this is a strong presence in the kingdom now, these Harwins. So
watch out for the cripple, because that means he's just their uncle. He's there.
Yeah. Not for much longer, some of them though, so we'll get to that. So Jace and Luke reveal that they've already picked out a dragon egg to put in Joffrey's cradle to help him bond with it, and Harwin ostensibly came to guard the egg as they transported it from the dragon pit. Despite their odd parental relationship, Jace and Luke are amiable and reasonably well behaved. Laenor insists that their mother must rest and sends the two boys to continue their training at the dragon pit. Anything on this? Any comments? No?
It just was very funny. Like, you know, like, who's the real father? You kind of get that sense. It's kind of like obvious, but not obvious. And like skirting around conversations, issues. But I mean, like, the commander of the King's Watch is not gonna go up to this baby and ask to hold it and what's his name and like look lovingly at this infant. Like, you know, like obviously there's something here. So
yeah, I don't know. I think within close quarters, as we see, like since what's his name? What the hell is his name? Her husband, Laenor. he obviously, since he's in on the whole thing, like he allows him to
Yeah, and he
be
even like
fatherly to them.
yeah,
But
gives
yeah,
gives them a moment of like into like, this like private moment, like
yeah,
have this moment with your son. It's like it's weird. It's just
it
I don't
is.
know. It's
It is. It's
anyway,
messy.
messy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of home, though. Sorry.
The Dragon Keepers instruct Rhaenyra's sons, Jace and Luke, as well as Alicent's sons, Aegon, now a lazy, bratty teenager, and her younger son, Aemon Targaryen. The focus of their lesson this day is training Jace's young dragon, Vermax, a juvenile the size of a small horse, to accept his verbal commands. Aegon is bored with the event because he already went through it with his own dragon, Sunfire, and for the dragons of the younger children, Jace successfully commands the dragon to obey and halt and then breathe fire at a live sheep. They leave Vermax to eat his roasted prey. All this
I
dragon stuff is fantastic. I love all this
Yeah,
stuff.
I do. But I just have to say something like really off like topic or off whatever, but like I've never seen uglier kids like in my life. Like
I know.
That's teenage children of the corn, man.
Aegon and Aemond, like they're ugly. Like I'm just gonna put it. I just they couldn't have found. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Is it the
Just
white haired kids?
Yes. Yeah, they're Allison's
That's the
kids.
yeah, the father's kids.
they're
It's
just
funny.
ugly. Like I
The
know you
father
shouldn't
had
say that
kids
about
before
children.
the.
Like
No, they are.
they're
They
just
are.
ugly, and the wigs are horrific. Like
Yes.
again, horrible wigs.
Yes. I co-sign all these thoughts on these kids. Yeah, they are. But I think it helps with the brattiness aspect of these kids, right?
That
Like,
maybe they were meant to be ugly. I don't know, but they're really ugly, and the wigs are horrible
how about you,
How come
Jay?
they don't have red hair anywhere? Any of them?
because
How
they're
come that didn't bleed
Targaryen.
in? Yeah,
The
but it didn't bleed
Targaryen,
in.
the DNA is strong in the Targaryen line. We know that, right? Like it's
Yeah, I
But if
know,
but
but
you
I
know what? I
mean,
think they're just playing on this thing that the male heirs or the male like
mm,
genetics are like the dominant ones. Because even like back they're like Baratheons, they're like dark of hair, and it's like,
right.
well, what if their mom's a Lannister and she has golden hair, so why can't they have gold hair?
well, that's what I'm saying too. Like the Targaryens, their hair, like you said, they were just saying that it's
Well,
blondes and that's dominant. But how come her with the three kids that she has or whatever with the knight there, it's not dominant there? You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's but because her and her husband both have blonde or platinum silver hair. So it's like how could you have like silver-haired blonde people have dark-haired children? Like that genetically that's not like
Yeah,
possible.
yeah,
Right? So that's why it's so obvious with Rhaenyra versus like if Alicent's children and Viserys's children, one of them had red hair, one of them had, and two of them had blonde, then it's like, okay, fine, that makes sense because it goes within their color
yeah.
palette. But that it's not
Like
the
they
case.
knew what a color palette was back. Like they knew all this stuff. They just guessing, right?
Well, that's
For
genetics,
those
anyways. But
times, yeah.
anyways,
I'm pretty sure they didn't know genetic, but they just knew that. Yeah, it should be dominant, I guess. But I mean, they got to come. One's got to come out with at least a little bit of white hair if she's got the dominant gene.
Hmm. But yeah, all
Right.
the dragon stuff I really enjoy. Like I think
that was
like
very
any
cool.
any insight into like the habits of the dragons or how they learn to use the dragons is pretty cool. And I feel like we get a bit in this show, but it's still obviously about all the relationships of these people like vying for the throne. But I every moment we get with dragon stuff in this series, I quite enjoy because I feel like as much as it was a main part, it feels like, of Game of Thrones with Daenerys' storyline. They really didn't explain all that much about the dragons. I felt like in Game of Thrones so much.
Well, I don't think anyone knew like how to do anything with them. Like Daenerys just kind of like inherently understood like
Yeah,
how to take care of them, but then again, like she didn't because remember when they were like eating all the crops and
right.
the farm
She didn't know what
animals
to
and
do.
everything, she had
Yeah.
no idea what to do with
Yeah.
them about that. So like
Whereas this, like, you have so many Targaryens during this period and people that tended to the dragons, it was more commonplace that they knew they existed, that they have all these rules and ways to like tame them and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see in this show whenever we get that. Aemon is upset because he's the only one of the children who hasn't bonded with a dragon yet. The other 3 boys insist that they have a surprise. Aegon says they felt bad that he doesn't have a mount, so they found a fresh new dragon for him. Aemon is suspicious. Then Luke returns from the lower level with a pig. The sow has brooms tied to her as makeshift wings, and the boys mockingly present Aemon with the pink dread. The other boys dissolve into laughter and leave. Kids are cruel.
Kids
Right?
are little assholes. Like, they're just such little dickholes.
Annoyed, Aemon descends into the lower levels of the dragon pit below the main area, into the caverns where the dragons nest, hoping to find one of the unclaimed dragons. He presses on in the dark until he is startled by Dreamfire, who angrily breathes fire in his direction. Stumbling backward onto the floor, Aemon flees out of the dragon pit with only a face full of ash. So there you go.
Poor guy.
I wondered why he doesn't have a dragon. I don't think maybe they explain it in the next episode, but I don't remember why. Like, why doesn't he have a dragon?
He had problems. He hasn't bonded with one yet for whatever reason. Apparently, like, I guess because the dragons.
He's a princess.
But wasn't there one, like, you know how the Targaryens always put a dragon egg in the cradle?
In the cradle, yeah.
So, like, why? Like, does he not have one? Maybe it didn't hatch, or
it didn't take to him. I don't know. Maybe that's something happened with the egg. Yeah, so maybe that's the case. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more later. I'm not sure. Back in her private chambers, Alicent sits with her daughter Helaena Targaryen, a baby at the time of her half-sister Rhaenyra's wedding. She is now an 11-year-old young lady. She's somewhat introverted and intently focused on details about her insect collection. A Kingsguard then drags in Aemon covered in ash and soot. Helaena observes that he's done it again, and Alicent scolds him for how dangerous it is to keep trying to claim an adult dragon on his own. Humiliated, Aemon explains that the other boys gave him a pig dressed up as a dragon, and they all laughed at him. Concerned and sympathetic, Alicent lovingly embraces her son and assures him that he will have a dragon someday. Helaena strangely says that they'll have to close. That he'll have to close an eye. Alicent then discusses the incident with Viserys as he is continuing to work on his model of Valeria's capital city, which over a decade has expanded to cover much of the large room that it is in. It's huge now, right? Viserys gently chides that it would be foolish for Aemon to think the other boys were capable of wrangling up some unclaimed young dragon for him on their own. And he suspects the originator of the prank might have been his own elder brother, Aegon. So, pretty cool model, though. I kind of like the idea of this. That
place, the whole area.
Yeah, and again, you can
get the visual effect, and then if you have it in your mind, right? Like, because you got a dragon to fly around on.
But also something it seems like he would be taken to actually working on in his own quarters, because, again, we know he's not very capable in many regards now, especially because he's sickly and he's always talking about, like, the guy can't hunt. He fucking isn't one for travel, it looks like. So it's like, like, what is he gonna do? It's gonna be like me. He plays with his toys in the side room here. Dropped one. No. Okay. So listen, he has his hobbies, right? This guy like sits there, and it's like guys with model trains.
A big fucking half-size Ninja Turtle.
The next time we go to Nico's place, he's gonna have like a model of like downtown Toronto, like he's building out of Lego.
We'll just figure, hey, he's gonna put his Ninja Turtles in there, and he's gonna have them coming out of the sewer. He's gonna have all his guys incorporated in there.
I mean, it's the equivalent of a guy that's into Lego these days. That's what he's doing, right? Or he's a Bobby Baklava from The Sopranos with the trains, right? That was his downfall. So there you go. Watch out, man. Annoyed, Aemon descends into the lower levels of the dragon pit below the. I already did that part. Sorry, I got thrown off there. Alicent insists that it must have been Rhaenyra's boys and says their savagery isn't surprising given their nature. Viserys dismisses his servant, and Alicent gets straight to the point. Rhaenyra's 3 sons look nothing like her husband, Laenor, and are quite probably Harwin Strong's bastard sons. Alicent is stunned by Rhaenyra's audacity, saying that to have one child like that is a mistake, but to have 3 sons like that is an insult. Rhaenyra kept having an affair with Harwin even after her first son shockingly resembled him with no fear of being caught. Viserys counters that the nature of inheritance can be a strange thing. He once had a stunning black mare that escaped her stable and mated with an equally stunning stallion, silver as the moon. Like, what the fuck is this, stupid idiot? He's like,
He's comparing it, dude.
He's
I can't
literally
do something
trying to
like that.
he's
I
trying
know.
to compare.
Trying to justify it.
a mixed horse breed with a black man and a fucking winter's daughter. I mean, that's essentially what he's doing. I mean, just mixed breeds, all right? I'm just saying. But the resulting what the result
like
was
chestnut.
Yeah, he said, but the result was a plain chestnut brown. Also questions if Viserys actually saw them mating or if he just assumed the silver stallion was the only one the black mare was breeding with. Angered, Viserys warns Alicent of the consequences of the accusations she's making and tells her never to speak of it again. Well, you're the one that fucking brought up the story of the horses. What the hell's this guy, his problem? Like, he's like,
well, you throw a bunch of colors into a fucking thing, it's gonna turn brown.
He's like, what? So what? You're saying this horse wasn't banging another horse? He's like, hey, shut the fuck up, get out of here. Like, you're excused.
Make chocolate milk.
So stupid. Oh my god. Yeah, it made me laugh. I'm just like, what a fucking story.
He's just trying to bring some context. Like, oh look, genetics are crazy. Like, don't discredit. Like,
can look like a horse.
They didn't have 23andMe back then. Like,
Oh, I know. It's just funny that. Yeah, I guess they don't have much to compare.
Or Maury Povich.
He's talking to her like she's a moron, though, in that respect, too. Like, she's like, well, sometimes when certain breeds mix with other...
He married her when she was a kid, bro. Like, he could be her grandfather at this point.
It's just, it's either you're delusional at this point or you're really just, like, lying, like, to yourself. Like, that's what's going on.
I just don't think he cares anymore.
No, and I think like that's commented later on in this episode. He's like, he clearly knows what the fuck the deal is. He's just ignoring it. Like, come on now, right? So yeah.
He can play that off at his age, probably with the disease as senile.
Alicent talks to Criston Cole as they return from the King's chambers, outraged that Viserys is willfully blind to the obvious. The entire royal court already thinks Rhaenyra's 3 sons are bastards, but none of them dare openly say it. Criston curses about Rhaenyra, whom he once loved, but apologizes when Alicent, clearly disapproving of his language and attitude, gives him a look. She says she has to believe that honor and decency will eventually prevail over Rhaenyra's continued offenses. So in the last time that we saw these two, she saved Criston Cole from killing himself. So now it looks like he's aligned to himself with her as opposed to lusting after Rhaenyra there, right? So
it's funny though, eh? Because every time I hear bastard, I feel like I'm getting a slap in the back of the head. Like, it's a bad word, man. I keep feeling like it's my grandmother hitting me, man.
Yeah, it's like his son's.
Bastardo.
No, the Caker one, even better.
Oh, there you go. Alicent enters young Aegon's private chamber to find him standing naked and masturbating in a castle window.
Oh yeah, this.
What a weird flex this was.
I could pull that off. You're going to go do that tomorrow morning. I'm going to go do that upstairs on the fucking balcony.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this quickly before we move
golf
on
course.
What a weird move, but is it the thrill of being able to masturbate outside of a fucking open window? Is that what's going on here, Jay? Like, you break this down here.
Well, from what I suspect, I mean, first of all, he's getting off to the world, no? Like, I mean, why not? You're at the castle. You're at the top there, man. You're looking down.
It must be part of the
fresh
thrill.
Sunlight.
Right.
Yeah.
Or do you think
and if you fall...
Or do you think he's like, I'm just going to jizz on these people, fuck them? Like, it's like that.
Could be that, too. Maybe he's feeding the pigeons.
He
could be doing something, man, right? Like, you think about it. There's protein, apparently.
What a weird fucking move, though. Also,
you know what? I really want to try that, man.
Also,
I'm gonna go to Niagara Falls and do that one day with the window, the door that opens.
And then
I don't.
CP24.
Also, I don't care what horror stories you've heard of people getting caught jerking off by their parents, but this has got to be the worst. This kid is totally fully nude, jerking off fucking outside of an open fucking window, and his mom just like comes bursting through the doors and isn't even fazed by it. I was like, what the fuck is going on in this scene? Like,
she doesn't even burst in. She like creeps in silently and stands there. And
watches. That's even more disgusting.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, she could have startled this guy and he could have fallen right outside the fucking window. Like, what's his name? The other kid that killed himself. Fucking,
Tommen.
yeah. Like, what? Are you kidding me right now? You're right. She like crept in and she said something to him and he's like, and they jumped off, like put the sheet over him. Like, dude. Oh man. Yeah, weird move.
I don't know. I'm not a man. I don't
Like,
have a
again,
penis, so like I don't know what if I would jerk off in a window. I don't know.
that's the only intention I could think behind it. But like, it also just feels like they really swing for the fences on this show for being more depraved than Game of Thrones. Like, they're like, what can we do that's really fucking weird here, right? And then they have this guy
jerk off out the window. Yo, it makes me want to try it.
You gonna try it now?
I don't know. I want to see what the thrill. I want to see what the thrill is. I'll let you know. I'm gonna go stand on the roof, guys, to the golf course. Yeah, and I'll report back to Nico.
You report back to me. All right. So that happens. Startled, he dives back into his bed and she pretends not to notice. She confronts him about the pig incident and he awkwardly tries to shift blame to Rhaenyra's boys before admitting that it was just a funny prank and he doesn't see what was so bad about it. Alicent is actually more annoyed that he enjoyed a prank with Rhaenyra's sons against his own brother when he should understand, like she does, that they are his mortal enemies. As Rhaenyra's eldest son, Jace, is in line to one day inherit the Iron Throne itself, as her own father, Otto Hightower, once impressed on her. Alicent exhorts Aegon that Rhaenyra will cut off anyone who challenges her inheritance to the throne. He innocently says that he won't challenge Rhaenyra, at which Alicent grabs his face quite awkwardly, and she's like, "You don't understand!" Like,
you are the challenge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. She fucking
like a blonde. Like, seriously, just
overacted the shit out of this scene, though. Like,
no
this
offense,
is
Christina.
That he is the challenge. She shouts into his face that he is the challenge simply by living and breathing. His existence as a male heir is a challenge to Rhaenyra. She finishes by imploring him that as the king's firstborn son, the entire realm knows in their bones that one day he will be king. So yeah,
I think he's
a little weird too, eh?
Over 10 years, she's been festering on this topic. And now Rhaenyra has 3 bastard children that are going to inherit the throne. And I think this is like, she's tired of, obviously Aegon is like a joke. Like, he's just a jokester. Like, he doesn't care about anything. He has no, like, whatever. He's just like a whatever. So
he's a party animal. He's an animal.
Yeah, I think he just doesn't care. Like, he just doesn't care. And it's driving her nuts because this is supposed to be the heir to the kingdom, and he doesn't get it. Like, he doesn't, but at the same time, he's like, what, 13 or 14?
It's a lot to put on him for sure. Yeah.
Right?
Like, I was playing with myself a lot at 13 and 14, so I can see why he did that.
I don't know why you brought it back there. We're talking about something completely different, but thanks for that.
You said that's the one that was going to inherit, no? Or do I mix them up because they're all blonde?
I'm just going to move on. Across the narrow sea in the free city of Pentos, Daemon Targaryen is now married to Laenor's sister, Laena Velaryon, who was last seen flirting with at Rhaenyra's wedding a decade ago. Laena claimed the great dragon Vhagar as her mount, the last of the original 3 dragons from Aegon's conquest. Laena on Vhagar and Daemon on Caraxes entertained Pentoshi aristocrats and magisters by racing along the coast. Daemon and Laena are being hosted by the Prince of Pentos, Reggio Horadus, and for the past decade have been living as honored guests in the mansion. In the past decade of their marriage, Laena has produced 2 daughters for Daemon, Baela Targaryen and her younger sister, Rhaena Targaryen, and is pregnant with a 3rd child. Unlike Laenor's children, both girls have Valyrian silver hair, as well as the darker skin of their Valyrian parent. So other than these notes, do you think they properly introduced all these folks here in this scene, or was it a little bit of catch-up?
No. I had no idea that they were in Pentos for 10 years. It seemed like they were like wanderers. Like, it didn't seem like they were, anywhere a particular place for that long, but that they were there for 10 years? No, because this gentleman when he's speaking to them, like at the table, seemed like they kind of just got there.
Right.
You know, like I didn't get that they were there for that long. I mean, Lena and Damien being together, okay, that makes sense because they were flirting. The last time we see them together, they were flirting, and
Right.
okay, fine, whatever. The children make sense. Okay, fine, it's their children, whatever. But yeah, they're in Pentos, and that wasn't explained, and that didn't seem
Yeah, you don't really
obvious.
have any of the background for this, other than, like I said, the people that put these notes together, I guess, know that that's the
And
case.
why?
I know. Herodotus holds lavish feasts for Damon's family and showers them with wealth and treasures because their presence in the city acts as a deterrent against their common enemy, the Triarchy to the south. He reveals that the Triarchy has launched a new campaign into the Stepstones, allying with Corin Martella of Dorne to attack from the west as well. Herodotus offers Daemon large permanent landholdings in Pentos if he will join them in a renewed offensive against the Triarchy. Lena is hesitant, but Daemon says he will consider it. So I guess there's some shit building up here.
And again, like they're talking about things, and it's like great, but it's like I didn't know there was a problem. Like,
Doesn't mean anything
first of
to
all,
us.
what is the Triarchy? Why is Dorne being brought into this all of a sudden? Like, what is
Right.
happening?
I know.
You know,
I
like
caught
this
on
is
to
just
that.
so strange that like
Yeah,
Well,
these
didn't they
scenes.
talk about the Triarchy in not the last episode, the one prior to that too, about when with the crab eater guy that
they talked about the
informing something.
stepstones, but like, is that the Triarchy? But like, why don't they call it just the
No,
stepstones?
I think this
No,
is a
there was
new.
3 people joining alliances, I think it was, and that's what they were calling the Triarchy when they were setting out to see what the hell was going on with the crab guy, and then because when they had that meeting around the table, I remember outside when they were waiting, and they said for Damien just to go in. They were
Okay, so
those were the
Triarchy was
guys.
mentioned in name by the Triarchy, or just the fact that there was 4 like people that
Yeah,
were
and they
going
said they were
against
trying
them.
to form a Triarchy.
Ah,
They were
okay.
trying to form a Triarchy.
All right. Yeah, I don't.
Not in this one before this, but the one
Right.
episode number, what are we on, 6 now? On number 4, I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
They talk
Okay.
about it in there.
Yeah, I'll have to take your word for it. I don't recall that either. So, but
That's just before Damien went to go and get
things are
himself.
moving fast, though, right? I mean, that's yeah.
It was a little thing. It was just about how they were going to deal with, because they were talking about how they're talking about it forming a Triarchy up in
Okay.
in the sandstorm, in the sand dune.
So
Where
the
the guy was the
Triarchy,
crab guy.
the Triarchy is an alliance in Essos of the free cities of Lys, Mir, and Tyrosh.
So Mir would be part of. No, that would
Essos.
just be yes.
They're all in Essos.
Okay.
So
Okay.
They're not in Westeros.
Yeah.
The Stepstone,
No.
the Stepstones are in Westeros, but I guess they're trying. They're right connected, like it's right on the bottom of the map, right next to Dorne. So it's like I think they're trying to reclaim land or take over that land.
And Essos was one of the places that Daenerys basically went through and basically helped, right?
So no, there's Westeros where like Game of Thrones takes place primarily.
Yeah.
And Essos is like Westeros is a continent and Essos is a
Right.
continent. And in Essos there's Pentos, Bravos, Valyria.
Yeah, but that's she
all
went
of-
through there, right? Daenerys on the
she
show.
went through all of the cities in Essos
Yes.
before she sailed across to Westeros.
Yeah, and in Westeros. Yeah. Okay. All right, that makes sense then.
Anyways, it's wow. There's so much.
Moves fast. Yeah. Later that night, after Daemon finishes giving Bela a lesson in High Valyria, and Lena urges him not to take the offer. They have been glorified guests for the past decade, but she wants the life of a dragon rider and for her daughters to grow up where she did on Driftmark. There you go. Another name there. Daemon says he knows their situation in Pentos is transactional. Their dragons scare off the Triarchy and return the Pentoshi shower them with wealth, but he finds this straightforward arrangement a relief, having grown weary of the political scheming in Westeros. Lena then visits her younger daughter Rhaena, who is warming her dragon egg in like a, I don't know, brazier. It says here. Yeah, she laments.
Brazier, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a brazier.
Yeah.
Brazier.
Yeah, it's like a brassiere, like a bra.
It's a bra in a fire pit. Look at Jay's eye.
Yeah.
She laments that she is the only one of them without a dragon, as her older sister Bela's egg already produced a young hatchling. Rhaena's egg was put in her cradle as a baby to help her bond with it, but after 8 years, it still hasn't hatched. Oh, so maybe there were some issues like that with the other kid.
Yeah, that's maybe.
Laena consoles her daughter that half of the dragon eggs never hatched. There you go. And she herself didn't claim a dragon until she was 15 years old. Then she bonded with mighty Vhagar, the largest living dragon. Oh, yeah, this dragon's huge. That's right.
Yeah, dragon is like a monster.
Massive, yeah.
It's also like 1,000 years old or something. I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Later in the night, Daemon looks out over the city's night skyline from the roof of the mansion. Laena arrives and tells him that her brother Laenor wrote a letter saying Rhaenyra had a third son. Daemon sarcastically asks if he mentioned that his child also has a marked but entirely coincidental resemblance to the commander of the city watch. Laena says she can tell Daemon is dissatisfied with his life in Pentos, even if he won't admit it. Laena points out that Daemon never ventures into the city, but spends most of his time in the library, reading about dead Valyria and Dragonlord. She says she knows she wasn't his first choice as wife, but she tries to wave aside, but she gently embraces him and says the man she married was meant for more in this life than Pentos. Weird relationship between these two. I mean, she's giving him what he needs in that sense, but she's also not aware of the fact, like she's not ignorant to the fact that that's basically the main reason why he married her and everything else, right? But she seems happy with her lot in life right now, the fact that they have children and stuff like that. I don't know. That's what I get out of it anyways. Like it seems like, and she also at the same time is not stopping him from pursuing greater things like here. So like, yeah, she's really solid like to this dude actually, given that she's just, she's pretty actually good for him. I feel like he doesn't deserve somebody like this, and he doesn't have her much longer by the end of this episode. But anyways, that's interesting though. Honestly, she's cool. Then the Red Keep's training yard. Big scene here. Criston Cole instructs Aegon, Aemond, and Jace and Luke. Rhaenyra's children are dressed in red and black clothes, while Alicent's children are dressed in green clothes. There you go. There's your color symbolism there for the King Viserys probably watches from a higher level along with Lyonel Strong and Harwin Strong that has accompanied Rhaenyra's sons to the yard. Criston pits the much older Aegon against Jace, even though Harwin points out it isn't a fair match. Aegon nearly overpowers Jace, but he makes a desperate counterattack against the overconfident teenager. Criston then coaches Aegon as Harwin coaches Jace. In their second bout, Aegon manages to knock Jace down, and Criston shouts at him to keep attacking his defeated opponent, which he enthusiastically does after his mother's recent instruction that Rhaenyra's sons are his enemies. Harwin intervenes to pull him off Jace, criticizing Criston for teaching the boys cruelty against a weaker opponent. Criston goads Harwin by observing that he shows an unusual level of interest in Rhaenyra's boys, the kind of man normally only shows to his own sons. Enraged at the insinuation, Harwin knocks Criston on his back with a punch to the face, then continues to pummel him. 4 other Kingsguard have to pull Harwin off Criston as he dares him to say it again. Criston didn't even try to fight back, smiling as he spits out blood because he made Harwin embarrass himself in front of the king and everybody in the courtyard for that matter. So it's a big fucking deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's messy.
He's just mad because he didn't get to bang that anymore.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that going on here too, right? I mean,
get over it
on Criston's part, anyways, right? For sure. So, yeah, for sure. One of Rhaenyra's handmaids informs her of the incident in the yard, and she uses the hidden entrance to the secret passage system that Daemon showed her to listen in on a heated conversation between Harwin and his father Lyonel. Harwin tries to defend himself that Criston was having Aegon beat up the heir to the throne, while Lyonel shouts at him that he was drawing suspicion on himself and their family. He tells his son that anyone in the castle who has eyes, including himself, have their suspicions, stopping short of saying aloud that the suspicion is that he's the real father of Rhaenyra's 3 sons. Everyone knows, Lyonel says, including King Viserys himself, but because Viserys himself is willfully blind to it, no one dares say it in public. This deeply upsets Rhaenyra, who has been in something of a a bubble at the royal court and didn't consciously admit just how widespread the suspicions were about her sons. Later, Rhaenyra's handmaid and Linda Massey gives her warm-soaked towels to soothe the pain in her breasts, as noble women don't feed their own children but use wet nurses instead. So, fucking, it's getting messier, man. This is all the relationships and people cheating on each other and fucking having kids with different, people. Something on your mind there, Jay? You look puzzled.
Yeah, they don't feed them. They don't feed themselves with their own kids. Like they don't feed their own kids with their boobs.
Apparently not.
Somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
That's why they had wet nurses.
There you go.
Wow.
Because it's not it's not
as opposed to what, dry nurse?
Like women breastfeeding is not like they don't have time for it. They have to, like, trust me, if you've ever had to breastfeed a baby, like you don't have time to do anything. So it's like if you're supposed to be in court and doing this and that, like, yeah, no, you're not breastfeeding your baby. Right? Definitely not. And even pumping, that's the same as breastfeeding. You might as well just stick the baby on your boob. Like, it's just, pumping is another whole nother beast.
Storage later on.
Like storage. Jay, extra. You know what?
I'm just wondering.
Do they have fridges back then too? Let me just pop it in the fridge.
Well, they must have had ice boxes.
Laenor then arrives drunk and singing with his romantic companion Quarrel Corey after, I guess, his new boy toy after a night of celebrating in Flea Bottom. Ordering the others to depart, Laenor tells Rhaenyra the good news that fighting has renewed in the Stepstones. He says that he is a dragon rider and a warrior and wants to feel alive again going into battle. Because obviously this fucking fake marriage isn't doing it for him. Rhaenyra scolds him for being unaware of the mounting threats against them, increasing rumors after a third son was born who doesn't look like him. She says they both agreed that their marriage was a sham when they began it, and she doesn't begrudge him for continuing his affairs with other men. But she would like his support. If Laenor were to leave for the Stepstones, it would make him look even less connected to Rhaenyra's sons. Laenor says that a wise sailor leaves ahead of a gathering storm rather than try to defeat it. Exhausted, she commands him as his princess to stay in King's Landing. Talk about being bait as fuck, though, this guy. Like, he just gallivanting around with his lovers. Yeah, like, come on now, man. Like,
he's having fun.
Not providing any support to his wife. Terrible.
Well, he's also hammered.
That too, yeah.
You know?
Rhaenyra and Alicent attend a meeting of the small council with Viserys in the past decade. Mellos. Here we go. So this is all context so you don't get in the episode, by the way, guys. This is just in the notes. So you're looking at this table. You're like, what the fuck's going on? Who are half these people? What happened to the other ones? Here we go. So this is a breakdown. Rhaenyra and Alicent attend a meeting of the small council with Viserys. In the past decade, Mellos died of old age and has been replaced by Grand Maester by the younger Orwyle, whose treatment of Viserys has been more effective than Melos's leeching. So that was a scene that happened in the last episode. So, I guess it's something you can make a connection with in that sense. Jasper Wilde also has been appointed as the new Master of Laws to fill the spot vacated by Lionel Strong when he became Hand of the King. Lyman Beesbury is still Master of Coin, though he has grown somewhat slow in his old age. Rhaenyra and Alicent disagree on every issue. Rhaenyra has more hands-on and interventionalist approach to rule, while Alicent is more diplomatic and wants to delegate issues to regional rulers worried about repercussions. Mm-hmm. So they also don't see eye to eye in that regard. They do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
House Blackwood and House Bracken have yet to another border dispute in their ancient feud. Alicent wants to delegate the ruling to House Tully. There's a name we know, but is told that Lord Grover Tully has grown bedridden in his old age. Alicent says they should just wait for Grover's son to deal with it, but Rhaenyra argues that the Blackwoods and Brackens will use any excuse to spill each other's blood. Instead, she points out that local country folk will now know where the ancient border markers have been, so they should send envoys to ask. Any comments on this so far? These things? No?
What are the Blackwoods again?
So I think the Blackwoods and the Brackens or whatever. So remember when Rhaenyra was on her tour for suitors, and you had that little boy step forward and say "Oh, I'm a suitable candidate," and she laughed, saying he's so young. He was a Blackwood, and I guess the Bracken guy was the one that they were fighting, and he ended up killing.
Okay.
Again, they're
Okay,
they're just
okay.
houses. I think they're houses in the north.
Right. Yeah, I think they were when they noticed they were mentioned on Game of Thrones. I think right. The
Maybe
Black.
the
I thought the
Blackwoods.
Blackwoods wasn't that what's his face, the one that always didn't get along. Blackwood wasn't that? What's his name? Oh fuck. Oh, why am I having a brain fart? Braun? No.
No, he didn't come from a house. Like,
Yeah,
because
but
his
he's
first
just common folk. But that was that wasn't it Blackwood or was it? I don't know. I'm
Oh, you know what, Jay? That's a good point. I don't know. Like,
So
I'm
this is interesting. The Blackwoods are an ancient house that descended of the first men.
interesting.
So there you go. Apparently they're connected to, and that holds fealty to the house House Tully of Riverrun.
Okay.
well. So I guess that's why they have that
Yeah.
dark skin.
Who?
No, that's not Tully. Sorry, not
Yeah,
Tully.
I'm like, what
I'm
the
thinking
fuck
of
are you
something
talking
else.
about?
We went back to Game of Thrones for a second there. I was
Yeah.
thinking something totally different.
They then move on to the renewed conflict in the Stepstones with the Triarchy now allied with independent Dorne. Viserys barely says that he'd hoped his ongoing negotiations with House Martell to keep them out of the region would succeed, but that shows what he gets forever trusting a Martell. Jasper Wild quips that Daemon was previously hailed King of the Narrow Sea after winning a single battle, and Alicent points out he abandoned the island 10 years ago. Rhaenyra interjects that all of them abandoned the Stepstones and angrily questions why the crown didn't fortify and garrison the isles to control the vital sea lanes going through them. Alicent responds that they couldn't afford it, as while they have enjoyed an era of prosperity, their funds are not infinite.
Mhm.
Beesbury agrees the cost was too great, but Rhaenyra declares that war would cost the common people even more. So some
All
interesting
valid
stuff.
points.
Yeah.
They are valid.
With the new business finished for the day, the council rises to leave, but Rhaenyra asks them all to stay, and she has another issue to propose. Rhaenyra politely says that she is aware of the recent tension between her family and Alicent's, but they are all part of the royal house and were friends before that. As a peace offering, she proposes a betrothal between her eldest son and her heir Jace and Alicent's daughter Helena. Additionally, when her dragon Syrax produces a new clutch of eggs, she will gift one to Aemond. Viserys says this is quite a judicious proposal, but Alicent is incredulous. She embarrasses Rhaenyra by indicating that she is leaking breast milk through her dress and flatly says that she will consider it. Bad fucking timing for this to happen because she looks,
Weak.
yeah, I was going to say the word weak. Yeah, in front of them as a result of this, right?
Mhm.
Because she's trying to like make a stand and fucking make demands and throw out fucking ideas and everything else. And then she's like, you're leaking, like, so yeah, bad fucking timing for that to happen, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
again, she's still dealing with the after effects of whatever the birth and
Giving
stuff.
birth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy, eh?
Yeah. After
Leakers.
leaving
They have pads for that.
After leaving the council, Alicent argues with Viserys that this offer is an insult, stopping short of saying aloud it is because Jace is really a bastard. Alicent thinks that
I
Rhaenyra
know
is
it.
only making this offer because she is being backed into a corner. Viserys tries to urge her that this will bring peace to the royal family, and as king, he should be able to make his choice. But Alicent sharply says that he can do what he wants when she's cold in her grave. They arrive at the king's private chambers where they are soon joined by Lionel Strong, who has come to offer his resignation as hand. He says that recent rumors have compromised his ability to give the king impartial aid and counsel. Viserys is hesitant to lose his trusted advisor and asks him to say aloud what these rumors are. He refuses and basically says that he can't resign due to that. Lionel agrees, but asks that he take Harwin back to Harrenhal. He has been dismissed as commander of the City Watch, but as Lionel's eldest son and heir, it is time he prepares to rule their family seat. Viserys agrees. So yeah, this is like the father trying to get his son out of fucking shit here because like it's been
Mhm.
revealed to everybody in the kingdom now that he's the one that's been banging Rhaenyra and having kids with her. So he's I get him trying to like get ahead of this thing here by resigning and doing what's right in this regard, but he's just looking out for his son more so. So pretty fucked up.
So it's
Right.
like a Maury Povich show. It is like Jerry Springer or something. Like this is how it plays out in my head too. The way it plays, like it's just there's so much interaction and there's so much fucking uh, I don't know, betrayal, incest, fucking. It's like hey, it's like a drama. I mean, well, it is a drama, but
Yeah.
also Would they consider it thriller as well? I guess.
Yeah, at times more of a drama, I would say.
Yeah, drama thriller. Okay.
This is a drama. Yeah.
I'm just having a
Uh,
hard time with the names and putting faces still because it's the first.
yeah, it's a lot.
It's,
It's a lot.
it is, man.
Yeah,
There's a lot of new names,
there's
right?
a lot.
Without these notes, I wouldn't be
They all
able to
look
do
the
it.
same. Yeah, and they all look the same. Yeah.
So basically, Allison later meets for a meal in her private chambers with Lionel's younger son, Lara Strong, who in the past few years has taken a position as a royal interrogator in the dungeons. Allison has come to rely on him as an informant, though this time it is her turn to inform him of events at the small council. Laris's father refused to confront the king about Harwin's alleged affair with Rhaenyra, and so will remain his hand. Allison laments her lack of allies at court and says if her father, Otto Hightower, was there, she could rely on him to be impartial. Laris points out that her own father wouldn't exactly be impartial, to which Allison sharply says in frustration that she would be partial, that he would be partial to her. Allison openly wonders if in all of King's Landing there is no one to take her side. And again, just very naive in this moment, fucking confiding in this guy, right? Who trusts this fucking guy, right? So
Such a creep.
Yeah.
Creep.
Seizing,
Yeah, he's got just.
he's got the Baelish going on. Seizing on this as a pretext, Laris goes down to the castle dungeons and picks out
It
3
looks
men
like Larry.
condemned to death. He offers that if they become his agents, he will spare their lives, though they will need to have their tongues cut out so they can't repeat his secrets. Fucking brutal.
This was gross.
Yeah, the cutting of the tongue. Yeah.
It was cool. It was quick.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Harwin Strong makes an emotional but silent goodbye to Rhaenyra and her 3 sons. After he leaves, Rhaenyra tells Jace they can still write to him. Jace, the eldest and most cognizant of her sons, then bluntly asks if Harwin Strong is really his father and if he is a bastard. Taken aback, Rhaenyra cannot bring herself to give him a straight answer aloud. Instead, she says that as her son, he is a Targaryen, and that's all that matters. Both of them are aware of what her indirect answer truly implies, and Jace is left stunned.
You know what I don't understand? You know what I'm still not catching on? Like, if they haven't figured out that like with the North, it's the snow, and with the, the bastard names, right? The way they do it. And I don't know if they've kind of not figured it out in a sense here, because they kind of figured that these kids are the bastards, but they haven't really said it as they changed the names yet.
Because they can't. Because they're the heirs to they're the queens.
Well, they're also trying to make it so that nobody knows too as well still, even though people are insinuating right now. I'd like to know once they find out that they're not, you know what I mean, will they, I know what's his name, Viserys said that they will still hold a name regardless of who they were. They're going to still hold the name of Targaryen, right? But I just like to know if they've come up with that, that thing that they use in Game of Thrones, where they've come up with the snow as the one bastard from the north, and then the sand as the ones from the south. And like, I haven't heard those names ever even brought up yet as bastards. It just keeps saying bastard. That's all they keep saying.
It's just because we're not following like storylines of bastards, right? Like this is royalty.
Yet, in a sense, but still, I mean, if one of them's a bastard in the royalty, you're still going to call them out. They're trying not to call them out, I think, is they're trying to still kind of hide it. I feel like when the old man's dead, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. In Pentos, meanwhile, Harwin Strong makes an emotional but silent goodbye to Rhaenyra and her 3 sons. After he leaves, Rhaenyra tells Jace they can still write to him. Jace, the eldest and most cognizant of her sons. Did I go over this part?
You just finished it.
Sorry.
Death by
That's
fire,
okay.
Long episode. Late night. In Pentos, Laena has gone into labor, but it takes a bad turn. The physician informs Daemon. This fucking part. The physician informs Daemon that the baby has breached, presenting him with a similar choice to the one his brother Viserys faced when Queen Aemma Arryn died in childbirth. The physician isn't even sure if the child is alive, but says he could try to cut it out of her. While Viserys in his situation asks if the child could be saved, Daemon asks if there's any way to save the mother's life. That's interesting. A little different
little change, yeah.
Who cares?
And the physician says no. Overhearing them, Lena manages to flee the room and the mansion, rushes out to her dragon on the beach. Preferring a dragon rider's death and a quick one instead of continued agony, she commands Vhagar to burn her. After some hesitation, Vhagar complies and immolates her just in time for Daemon to see. At dawn, Daemon and his devastated daughters look out from the mansion's roof at Lena's charge remains below. This was a fucking crazy choice. I don't know. Again, this seems like the most extreme fucking choice out of this that they could have went with.
Honestly. It does and it doesn't. Like she said, she wants to go back and live the life of a dragon rider. So she's obviously not willing to go out. I don't know. Like if you know you're gonna die anyways, go out the way you want to go. You know.
Yeah.
But if the baby's breached, didn't they say that they know if the baby, if they're still thinking that even if they don't do that procedure, she's gonna die as well?
They don't know if the baby's alive because they can't tell.
Yeah. But okay, let's say she just finally gets it out or whatever, they get it out, or if it's not alive or whatever.
Yeah.
Does she'll survive, right? The mother?
Not necessarily. No, because they'll have to give a C-section. They'll have to cut it out like they did with Emma.
Oh, regardless. They'll have to cut it out, even if it's alive or dead.
She could just die of the blood loss and everything else going on here, right? As a result of this.
Well, I was just wondering because I've never given childbirth, and I'm wondering if that was just like something that set her off because of
this is also before more modern
this.
methods, right? That's going on in this show. She died obviously in the last time because they made that choice to save the baby instead of her, right? They couldn't save both. They basically put that out, and this was the opposite in the sense like he asked if they can save her. Like we pointed out, I mean, I can respect it that like she went out on her own fucking accord here and she didn't want to fucking go out that way, and it looked like she was over for her and everything else. But again, like, and I guess it would be painless in the sense it's gonna happen like 1 second you're toast from a fucking dragon flame. But yeah, it is just a wild choice still. Like again, like going from one extreme to the next is just like, you know, like I don't know. It's like, oh, I'm gonna die of childbirth. I'm gonna fucking get my dragon to incinerate me. I don't know.
It's wild.
It is pretty wild.
It's a wild choice for sure.
For sure. But that's, yeah, I mean, like you said, again,
that's a true you know, dragon rider. Fuck.
Yeah. I just think, you know, even just that scene, like she begged her dragon, like she begged Vhagar like 3 or 4 times, like Dracarys. She kept saying it, and like Vhagar, like there seemed to be a hesitancy. Yeah.
Well, they knew something was up. He knew something was up, right? I mean, she's probably ridden him quite a bit, right?
It's a girl. That the dragon's a girl.
Whatever. I don't know. I didn't check below his belt.
You didn't lift the leg?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
In the Riverlands, Lionel escorts Harwin back to Harrenhal, the massive castle left half ruined a century before or during Aegon's conquest and later gifted to House Strong. Larissa's tongueless agents follow them. Lionel is awakened in the night by a fire they set in the castle. Harwin rushes to the door of his father's chamber, but the heat has sealed the lock shut. The ceiling collapses on them, and they both burn to death. This guy just took out his father. It's so fucked up. Yo, that's wild. This guy just killed his fucking own family because that Alicent. Jesus. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra finds Laenor practicing in the yard with Carl Corey after her attempts at peace with Alicent have failed. She has agreed with his advice and wants to leave before gathering storm. She will relocate with her sons and household to her seat at Dragonstone Island, where they will be free of wagging tongues and Alicent's plotting. She asks him to come with her and invites him to bring his companion as well. She now realizes they will need every sword they can for the eventual conflict with Alicent and her children.
Dun dun dun.
Again, just the whole thing of like public perception being a big thing in this theme in this show. I think, like again, like they actually care about the way that people look at them, and I think that speaks to also today's times. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't matter whether or not you did or didn't do anything. Once you get labeled as such, it's fucking, you're know done. What I mean? Yeah, you're done. So
I feel like there was a time that like earlier before even like nowadays, like, you know,
no, not this brutal because we didn't have
but there was a time where it was fine and now it's gotten bad again.
Well, it's just because you
even
can
in
easily
reality,
figure out what everybody's up to so easily nowadays as opposed to
by opening your
before.
phone. Yeah.
Exactly. So before you may have not known these bad things about individuals till long after they were gone, right? So like it's like now it's like you know it in the moment, right? So it's like
Yep.
yeah, that's why. Lara Strong then meets with Allison in her private chambers and cheerfully reveals to her that he had his own father and brother burned to death, an act of kinslaying that will
Not a
elevate
bad
him
thinking,
as
though.
the new lord of Harrenhal.
Nice.
And which will clear the post of Hand of the King for Allison's father, Otto, to return. Allison, however, is horrified at this crime and says she never wished for this. Larys assures her that she will reward him when the time is right now. And you get this fucked up end of her again being naive to this whole thing and what she's unleashed on this fucking world now with this guy. And now she owes him because she has all this dirt on her as a result, right? So it's crazy.
This is, they know how to play the
Creepy.
game, man.
So
Imagine
there you
you
have
guys
it.
reading one of these episodes. Holy fuck. It
It's
might
a lot
take
of work.
forever.
It's a lot of work.
No. You were fast, man. I was watching and I was like, holy, man, you're good at what you do, buddy.
I try.
You're,
Thank you, sir.
you're very good, man. And no, but I'm sorry with my stupid comments. I apologize. Like
Oh no, it's
I'm
enjoyable.
just trying to understand. Like, so I know I sound naive, but I'm trying to understand. Like, I thought when a child was breached, you can get it somehow turned around and pull it back out. I didn't know you had to necessarily have child automatically die, right?
No, like now, well, now you can,
Nowadays,
but back then it was totally different. Like they didn't know how to really maneuver and do all these things. Like they barely were figuring out like C-sections and stuff. So
well, they tried that before they tried to reach in and turn it around. I know that's kind of weird. Like think about it.
that's
It's
what
not
they
they just cut her
do.
stomach open. Yeah, fuck it. We don't need her if she doesn't survive. Like I don't understand it. That's just rude with the ladies. I'm a princess, okay?
That's just
Just
rude with the
rude with the
ladies.
There you go. That's the comment to go out on. This show's just
Just
been
rude
rude
with
with
the
the ladies.
ladies.
But yeah, no, of course.
Rude on the ladies. Yes, rude on the ladies.
The but yes, no, your comments, no matter how crude or unnecessary they are, Jay, are always appreciated. It gets us through the episode. Always a
I'll
fun
be
time.
dead when my nieces will get to watch this.
Yeah,
Don't worry. So they won't even. They'll be like, "Oh, look at that asshole uncle I had."
Always a fun time chatting with you. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode 6 of House of the Dragon. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, make sure to tune in on the Late Night Chat Network for the remaining 4 episodes of this season leading into season 2 of House of the Dragon, which we will be discussing as well. We're doing 2 episodes a week. These will air Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. on the Late Night Chat Network, everybody. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you to Christina for being with us once again. And
Thank you
JT,
for
of
putting
course,
up with me.
for your comments.
And now to my favorite song.
No
All right,
problem, guys.
everyone.
Anytime.
We'll see you next time. Later.
Dun, 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 dun.